Hello everyone and welcome to the 5-minute German A2 exam preparation series. In today's video, we will take a look at the Goethe A2 exam pattern. So we will see what are the different sections of the A2 exam, how much time do you have for each section, and how many marks do you need to pass the exam. We will also take a look at each of the sections in detail and see what kind of questions are asked in each section, and I will also give you some important links where you can find more information about the exam and also download some sample papers so that you can practice them yourself as well. So now let's not waste any time and let's get started. So the Goethe A2 exam has 4 parts. The first part is Hören or listening. The second is Lesen or reading. The third is Schreiben or writing. And the fourth is Sprechen or speaking. And these are the same parts that you also have in A1. Now let's take a look at how much time do you have for each section. So when you are in an exam, they normally start with the Hören part. And for the Hören part, you have 30 minutes. So in these 30 minutes, they will run the recordings and you can answer the questions. Then for Lesen, you also have 30 minutes. And for Schreiben, you also have 30 minutes. However, both Lesen and Schreiben are done together. So you will get one question paper which has the questions for both Lesen and Schreiben. And since each part is of 30 minutes, so you will have a total of 60 minutes to complete both of these parts. Now it is possible that you complete the Lesen questions in 20 minutes and then you have 40 minutes to complete the Schreiben part. And the Sprechen part usually takes 15 minutes. And you will do this together with a partner. So you will be 2 people who will do the Sprechen part together. And the Sprechen part usually takes place after the exam or sometimes also on the next day. Now let's take a look at the marks that you have for each part. So for each part you have 25 marks. And you have 100 marks in total. And you need 60 marks to pass. But in A2, there is an important point regarding the marks which I want to mention. And for that, let me take you to the Goethe website and then I will explain it to you in more detail. So here I am on the Goethe Institute website where they have given you some information on the exam results for A2. Now as I scroll down, over here they have a table where they have the different points. So if you have marks in the range from 100 to 90, then it is very good. If it is 89 to 80, then it is good and so on. And you see under 60, it is fail. Now the important point is over here. I scroll down and they have this paragraph where they have some information. And over here they have written that a maximum of 100 points can be earned, 75 points in the written exam and 25 points in the oral exam. And that is understandable because each part has 25 marks. So you can get 75 marks in the first 3 parts, which are Hören, Lesen and Schreiben, and 25 marks in the oral exam or the Sprechen part. Then they have written over here that the exam is deemed to have been passed when at least 60 points or 60% of the maximum point score have been earned. And if all the sections of the exam have been completed. So this is also what I mentioned earlier, that you need 60 marks to pass. But then they have another very important point. They say of these points, this means of these 60 points, at least 45 points must have been earned in the written exam. So this means that you need to get at least 45 marks in total in the first 3 parts, which are the Hören, Lesen and Schreiben parts. And at least 15 points in the oral exam. So you need at least 15 marks in the oral exam or the Sprechen part. Otherwise, the entire exam will be deemed to have been failed. So this means that if you get 60 marks in total, then out of these 60 marks, 45 marks must be in the first 3 sections and you must get 15 marks in the Sprechen part. Only then will you pass. Now let me explain this to you in some more detail. So what Goethe has mentioned on their website is that in the first 3 parts, which are Hören, Lesen and Schreiben, you need at least 45 marks. And in the Sprechen part, you need at least 15 marks. Only then will you pass the exam. Now let me explain this to you with a few examples so that it is more clear. So suppose that you have given the exam and you get your result. And your marks in the different parts are 15 in Hören, 15 in Lesen, 15 in Schreiben, and 15 in Sprechen. So this is your result. Now if you take a look at the first three parts, then you have a total of 45 marks in Hören, Lesen, and Schreiben. And you have 15 marks in Sprechen. So when I add both of these together, then I get a total of 60 marks. And since you need 60 marks to pass, that's why your exam is now passed. Let's take another example. So suppose that you get 5 marks in Hören, 20 marks in Lesen, and 20 marks in Schreiben. So if you add your marks for each of these sections together, then you get a total of 45 marks. And in Sprechen, you again get 15 marks. So when you add both of these together, you get a total of 60 marks. And since you need 60 marks to pass, that's why your exam is passed. Now suppose you get 10 marks in Hören, 20 marks in Lesen, and 10 marks in Schreiben. So when you add these marks together, then this is a total of 40 marks. And your Sprechen part was very good, so you got 20 marks in Sprechen. So when we add both of these together, which is 40 and 20, you get a total of 60 marks. And you need 60 marks to pass. However, you will not pass the exam. And the reason is that, as we saw on the Goethe website, you need at least 45 marks in the first three parts, which are Hören, Lesen, and Schreiben. And since you did not get 45 marks and you got 40 marks, that's why you did not pass. Now let's take one last example. So suppose that you got 20 marks in Hören, 20 in Lesen, and 20 in Schreiben. So the sum of these marks is 60 marks in total. So now you have the marks to pass. However, in Sprechen, you only get 10 marks. Then when you add both of these together, you get a total of 70 marks, which is more than 60 marks. But you will not pass the exam because in the Sprechen part, you need at least 15 marks to pass. So this is what was mentioned on the Goethe website, that you need at least 45 marks in total in the Hören, Lesen, and Schreiben sections, which is the written examination, and you need at least 15 marks in the Sprechen part in order to pass. So I hope that now it is clear for you how the marking in the A2 exam is done. And this is a little different from A1, where you just need 60 marks in total to pass. I will also put the link of the Goethe website where they have information about the marks which we just saw, and you can go and take a look at it yourself as well. Now let's take a look at the different parts of the Goethe A2 exam and see what kind of questions will be asked in each part. So we will start with Hören because this is usually the first part of the exam, and the Hören section has 4 parts. In the first part, there will be 5 questions. And you will hear recordings for each question, which will be played 2 times. And in each question, you will have 3 options, A, B, or C. And after listening to the recording, you will have to select the correct option. Now let's take a look at a Goethe sample exam and see what these questions are. So here I have a Goethe A2 sample exam. These are available on the Goethe website. I will also link them in the description below, so that you can also download them and practice them. So let us go to the Hören section. So here we are at the Hören section, and you see that they have written over here that you have 30 minutes for this, and that dieser Prüfungsteil hat 4 Teile, that this exam part has 4 further parts. And then they say, okay, you will hear some information from the radio, some discussions, some messages, and so on. And you have to listen to the recording and then also answer the questions. And they also say over here that for each question, there's only one correct answer. So you cannot have more than 1 correct answers. You only have to select one option. And then they also say that you have to write your answers on the Antwortbogen. So you have to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. And I will also show it to you as well. And at the end, they say that Wörterbücher und Mobiltelefone sind nicht erlaubt. Dictionaries and mobile telephones are not allowed. So now we go to part number 1. So this is Teil 1 or part 1. And you see that they have written, Sie hören 5 kurze Texte. You will hear 5 short texts. Sie hören jeden Text zweimal. You will listen to each text 2 times. And then you have to select for questions 1 to 5 die richtige Lösung A, B oder C. So out of these three options, you have to select the correct one. And as you see over here, we have 5 questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for each you have these three options. For example, the first question is, wo kann man noch parken? And then you have the option am Bahnhof, option B am Einkaufszentrum, or the option C, which is by der Olympiahalle. So you have to listen to the recording and then select the correct answer. And this is what you have to do for all of these 5 questions. So this is part 1 of Hören. Then in part number 2, you will also have 5 questions. However, the difference over here is that the recording will only be played once. And in this case, you have to match the correct images or text to what is being said in the recording. So let's also take a look at these questions. So here we are again on the Goethe sample exam in Teil 2 or part 2 of Hören. And at the top they have some information. Sie hören ein Gespräch. You will listen to a discussion. Sie hören den Text einmal. So you see einmal over here means only once. So then they have the question, was machen der Mann und die Frau in der Woche? What will the man and the woman do in the week? So you see over here, they have written the different days of the week. So Montag, Dienstag, Mittwoch, Donnerstag, Freitag, and Samstag. And under this, they have the Lösung or the solution. And then they have some different images over here. So in the first image, which is image A, they are dancing. In image B, they are watching a theater show. Image C, they are swimming. And like this, there are some different activities which have been represented on the different images. And what you have to do is that you have to listen to the discussion and then select the correct image for each day. So for example, they have already written F as the solution for Montag. So F is that they are in a cinema where they are watching a movie. So when you listen to the text, in the text they will say that on Monday we will go to the cinema to watch a movie. So that's why they have selected F as the solution over here. Then if for example they say on Mittwoch we are going to go for swimming, then you will add the option C under Mittwoch. And in this way you will have to select the correct option for each of these days. And you also see over here they have written select each character only once. So this means that if they have written F over here, then F will not come again in the solution. So this is part number 2 of Hören. Now we go to part number 3. So in part number 3, you also have 5 questions, and this time the recording will also be played only once. And in this case, you will have 3 images, which are A, B, and C, and you have to listen to the text and select the correct image. So let's see how this looks like in the exam. So here we are on Teil 3, which is part 3, and you see over here that they have written Sie hören 5 kurze Gespräche. So you will hear 5 different discussions and you will only hear it einmal, so only once. And this will be for the questions 11 till 15. So you see that in question number 11, they have asked, was hat das Mädchen gestern Abend gegessen? What did the girl eat yesterday evening? And then they have these 3 images. There is fish, there is a burger, and there is some chicken. And depending on what is said in the recording, you have to select the image A, B, or C. And this is the same for the other questions as well. So over here you have some different types of clothes. And the same is for question number 13, 14, and question number 15 as well. So this is part number 3 of Hören. Then in part number 4, you will also have 5 questions. However, this time the recording will be played twice. And these questions are Ja-Nein questions or true-false questions. So you will listen to the recording and select whether the statement that they have given you is true or false. So let's take a look at these questions as well. So here we are on Teil 4 or part 4. So they say, Sie hören ein Interview. You will listen to an interview. Sie hören den Text zweimal. So you will listen to the interview twice. And then you have to select for question 16 till 20, Ja oder Nein, which is yes or no. So they have a Beispiel over here as well, which is an example that Sarah ist in Afrika geboren. So when you listen to the interview, then this is true. That's why they have selected Ja over here. And depending on what is said in the interview, you will have to select the correct options for the other questions as well. Now, one important point over here is that when they play the interview, they will talk about all of these questions. So it will be one complete recording. So it won't be like the previous sections where they only play the recording for question number 16 two times, then question number 17 two times, and so on. Rather, it will just be one recording, and as you listen to it, you will have to answer all of these questions. So what you can do is when the recording plays for the first time, then you mark the answers which you think are correct, and then when they play it the second time, then you can check whether the answer which you selected is the correct one. So this is an important thing which you have to keep in mind. So these are the 4 parts of the Hören exam. Now before we go to the next part, let me show you the Antwortbogen on which you have to write your answers. So for this you will have to go to the end of this exam. So this is how the Antwortbogen or answer sheet looks like. So you see it is written Antwortbogen. So this is what you will also get in your exam. And at the top you have to write some information, for example the Nachname and Vorname. So you will write your Nachname or last name in this field over here, and then the Vorname over here. Then you also have to write the institution or the place where you are giving the exam, your Geburtsdatum, and the PTN number and PS. You will get the PS and PTN number from the examiner, and then you can add it over here. And then over here you see that they have the Lesen part over here. So these are the 4 parts of the Lesen section. So you will answer the Lesen questions over here. And over here you have the Hören part below. So over here you will select the correct option. So for example, if for Teil 1 question number 1 it was A, then you will put a cross in it. And over here at the top right, they have also told you how you have to answer it. So you have to put a cross like this. Let me zoom in and show it to you. So you see this kind of cross. And these things, for example, a big cross or cross outside of the box will not be acceptable. So this is the Antwortbogen. And suppose that you are practicing this exam and you want to see whether the options that you selected are correct or incorrect, then they also have the solutions for different parts as well. So for that, we go to the Lösungen part. So over here you see they have the Lösungen written, and over here they have marked the correct options. So for Hören, Teil 1, question number 1, the correct option is B. For question number 2, it is also B. For 3, it is C. Then B for question number 4. And A for question number 5. And you see that they have marked the correct options for the other parts as well. So with this, you can also practice. And just one more point, over here you see that they have written Punkte Hören out of 20 and also Punkte Lesen out of 20, whereas I told you that you have 25 marks for each part. So what they do is that they will mark it out of 20, but then they will convert this to 25. So this means that each question over here has 1.25 marks. So don't be confused with this. At the end on your certificate, you will have marks out of 100. So don't worry about this, that why have they written 20 over here. Now let me show you one more important thing related to Hören. So at the end, you will have this section called Transkripte. And what this is that this is the written text of the recordings that you will hear. And this is very helpful for you. For example, if you are practicing and you don't understand some words, then you can come over here to the Transkripte and read the text so that you understand what is being said. And this is for all the different parts. So you see this is Hören Teil 2. So this was the part where the man and the woman had to plan their week. So this is the complete discussion that they have. Then this is for Hören Teil 3. And also for Hören Teil 4, you will find the Transkripte over here. So this was the Hören part. Now let's go to the next part, which is Lesen or reading. And this also has 4 parts. So in part number 1, you will have to read a newspaper text, and then you will have to answer 5 questions. And these questions will also have 3 options, A, B or C. And you have to select the correct one. So let's go to the Goethe exam and see how these questions look like. So here I am on the Lesen part of the exam, and you see you also have 30 minutes for this, and they have some information. This is the same that they also had for the Hören part, so that's why I will skip this and we go to Teil number 1. So you see over here they have written Sie lesen in einer Zeitung diesen Text. You read in a newspaper this text. And then they have written Wählen Sie für die Aufgaben 1 bis 5 die richtige Lösung? A, B oder C? So for the questions 1 till 5, you have to select the correct option A, B or C. So this is the text. So you see it is quite a long text over here. So you will have to read this text, and after that you will have these questions. So you see they have an example over here by Stefan Berger, Können Geste, and then Neue Speisen probieren. So option number C is the correct one. Then you have question number 1. So the answer to this, you will find it in the text over here that we saw. And the same is for all the other questions. So for question number 2 as well, 3, 4 and 5, you will have to read the text and then answer these questions because this information is available in the text. So this was part number 1 of the Lesen exam. Then in part number 2, you have to read information from a notice board. And over here you will also have 5 questions and you will have 3 options, A, B or C, and you have to select the correct one. So let's take a look at the questions of part number 2. So here I am on the Goethe sample exam on Teil 2 and they have written, Sie lesen die Informationstafel in einem Kaufhaus. So you are reading the notice board or information board in a shopping center. So Kaufhaus is a shopping center. And then they have written the questions over here first, and this notice board you will find on the second page. So let's first take a look at this and then we will take a look at the questions. So this is Kaufhaus Alexa, so shopping center Alexa, and they have information about the different floors that they have in this shopping center. So you have vierten Stock, which is 4th floor. So over here they have told you what you will find on the 4th floor. For example, Bücher, books, Geschenke, gifts, telephone as well, and Kunden-WC, which is a customer washroom or toilet. Then in the same way, for the other floors, they have told you what are the different things that you will find or the different shops that you will find. Now let's go back to the question. So let's take a look at the Beispiel. So over here, they have asked the question, Sie suchen ein Sofa. So you are searching for a sofa, and then they have the different options. A is vierten Stock, B is zweiten Stock, and C is anderer Stock, which means a floor other than floor number 2 or 4. So you have to go to the notice board and see from where you will find the sofa. So over here they have said that option B is the correct one, which is zweiten Stock. So let's go and see if you will find a sofa on the zweiten Stock. So over here we are on the Informationstafel or notice board, and we will take a look at zweiten Stock. So on the zweiten Stock, over here on the second line, you see that they have Möbel for Wohnzimmer, which is furniture for your living room. So a sofa comes under this category. So it is furniture which you use in the living room or Wohnzimmer. So that's why they have selected option B over here. And in the same way, you will read the other questions and then select the correct answer. So this was part number 2 of Lesen. Then in part number 3, you will have to read an email. And in this part, you will also have 5 questions, which will also have 3 options, A, B or C. So you see that this is also similar to the other parts. So let's take a look at this email now. So here I am on Teil 3. So they say, Sie lesen eine E-Mail. You read an email. And then you have to select the correct options, A, B or C, for questions 11 bis 15. So this is the email, also quite a long email. And then on the next page, you see that they have these 5 questions from 11 till 15. So there is a statement over here, and then they have the 3 options, and you have to select the correct one. So I will not go into more detail because these questions are similar to what we have seen in the previous sections. So this was part number 3. Then in part number 4, you will have to read different advertisements. And over here, you will also have 5 questions. And depending on the statement, you will have to select the correct ad. So let's take a look at this part as well. So here we are on Teil 4. And it is written, 6 Personen suchen im Internet nach Lokalen. 6 people are searching in the internet for different shops. Lokalen are shops. And over here, you have to take a look at the advertisements, which are the Anzeigen, A bis F. So you will find these on the next page. So these are the different advertisements, A, B, C, D, E, and F. And for each question, you have to select the correct one. However, there is another very important point over here, and that is, für eine Aufgabe gibt es keine Lösung. For one of these questions, you will not find any suitable advertisement. And for that question, markieren Sie so X. So for this question, you have to mark it with an X. So this is very important for you to know. Now let's take a look at the example over here. So it is written, Mareike möchte am Wochenende frühstücken gehen. Mareike would like to go for breakfast on the weekend. And for this, they have selected the correct option, day. So let's go to the advertisement and let's take a look at advertisement number day. So it is written over here that there is Frühstück available and it is available on Saturday and Sunday. So Samstag und Sonntag. So this is Wochenende. So that's why this is the correct option. And in the same way, you have to read the advertisements and then answer the questions over here. And remember that for one of these questions, there will not be any suitable advertisement, and in that case, you have to mark it with an X. So this was the Lesen part, and remember that once you are done, the answers that you select, you have to transfer them to the Antwortbogen, because only then will they be marked. So let's take a look at the Antwortbogen again, which you will find at the end of this PDF, and here is the Lesen tile, and you have to select the correct options for each of the questions. And you see in tile 4, they also have an option as X. So you have to see for which of these questions there is no suitable advertisement, and for that you will mark it with an X. And you will also find the answers for the Lesen part on the Lösungen page. So here are the Lösungen, and you see that they have marked the different answers for the questions that you have in the Lesen part. And then you can compare them with your own answers. So this was the Lesen part. Now let's take a look at the next part, which is Schreiben or writing, and this has two parts. In the first part, you have to write an SMS. So this will be an informal SMS, which means that you will write it to a friend or someone you know very well, and you will have to write 20 to 30 words. And this part has 12.5 marks. Let's first take a look at what you have to do in part number 2 as well, and then I will show you how the questions are asked. So in part number 2, you will have to write an email. So this will be a formal email, and over here you will have to write 30 to 40 words. And this also has 12.5 marks. So you see both parts have the same amount of marks. So now let's go to the Goethe exam and take a look at the Schreiben part. So here we are on the Schreiben part, and here is some information. So they have written, Sie schreiben eine SMS und eine E-Mail, that you will write an SMS and an email. And they have also written that you have to write your answers on the Antwortbogen and write it clearly and not with a pencil. So let's take a look at the questions. So here we are on Teil 1, which is the SMS. So in Teil 1, they have given the question that Sie sind unterwegs in der Stadt und schreiben eine SMS an Ihre Freundin Ekaterini. So you are traveling in the city and you have to write an SMS to your friend Ekaterini. And then they have written 3 points over here. So the first point is, entschuldigen Sie sich, dass Sie zu spät kommen, that you have to apologize that you will be coming late. Then in the second point you have to write warum, why are you delayed, so you have to give a reason. And then in the third point you have to write nennen Sie einen neuen Ort und eine neue Uhrzeit für das Treffen. So you have to suggest a new place and a new time for the meeting. And then at the end they have written that you have to write 20 to 30 words and schreiben Sie zu allen 3 Punkten, that you have to cover all of these 3 points that they have mentioned in your answer. So this was Teil 1. Then we have Teil 2 over here as well. So over here it is written that your boss has a birthday soon and he has invited you, and you have to write him an email in which you have to thank him and tell him that you will come, and then you also have to inform him that you will bring someone with you, and you also have to ask him about the directions. And over here you have to write 30 to 40 words, and it is also written that you have to cover all the 3 points that they have asked in your email. So I will make a separate video on how you can write this SMS and email, and I will go through each of these points separately and also give you some different tips which will help you in the exam. And just like Lesen and Hören, they have also given you some sample answers at the end for Schreiben. So let's go and take a look at them as well. So here are some examples for the written part. So for Aufgabe 1, this is the SMS. They have given you 2 sample answers, and then for Aufgabe 2, which was the email, they have also given you 2 sample answers. But something which is very important over here is that these are just some sample answers, but these are not 100% correct, because I have seen these answers and there are mistakes in these texts. So one example is that over here they have the sentence Ich hab den Weg vergessen. So dem is the incorrect article that they have used over here, and it should be den with an N at the end. So that's why you can take a look at these answers just to get an idea. but remember that these answers are not 100% correct. So this was the Schreiben part of the A2 exam. Now let's take a look at the last part, which is Sprechen or speaking, and this has 3 parts. And as you know that you will do this part with a partner. So in the first part, you have to ask your partner questions and also give answers. So these questions and answers will be related to the introduction. So what will happen is that both of you will get 4 cards with some keywords, and on the basis of these cards, you will ask 4 questions to your partner, and he or she will give you the answer for your questions, and then your partner will ask you 4 questions, and you have to then answer them. And one more important point over here is that both you and your partner will get different cards. So the keywords that will be written on your card will be different from the keywords that will be written on your partner's card. So let's take a look at an example. So here we are on the Sprechen part, and over here they have given you some information about the different parts, but we will take a look at them separately. So we go to Teil 1, and you see over here they have written that you will get 4 cards, and then you have to ask your partner questions, and after they have answered, then they will ask you questions, and then you have to answer. So over here they have given some examples of what the cards will look like. So you see that the cards have the keywords Geburtstag, Wohnort, Beruf, and Hobby. So if you get these cards, then you can ask the question related to Wohnort, wo wohnst du? And then your partner will answer the question. And if, for example, they ask you a question related to Beruf, for example, was machst du von Beruf? Then you can answer it by saying, ich bin Student or Studentin, or ich bin Softwareentwickler or Softwareentwicklerin, or whatever your Beruf is. So this will be the first part in which you will get these 4 cards, and then you have to ask questions and also give answers. Then in the second part, you will have to tell a little bit about your life or yourself, and for this you will get a question with some keywords, and you have to make some sentences related to this question and the keywords that are given to you. So let's take a look at how this part looks like. So here we are on Teil 2, and it is written that you will get a card and you will have to tell something about your life. So here is an example. So suppose that you get this card where it is written, was machen Sie mit Ihrem Geld? What do you do with your money? And then they have some keywords, Kleidung, which means clothes, Lebensmittel, Miete, which means grocery or rent, Reisen, which means traveling, Sparen, which means saving. So you have to make sentences in which you answer these questions. And similarly, your partner will also get a card which will have a different question and different keywords. So for example, over here, they get the question, was machen Sie oft am Wochenende? What do you often do on the weekend? And then they have some keywords or questions, Sport, jemanden besuchen, visiting someone, wo, and mit wem. So then they will also have to make some sentences in which they answer this question and the keywords that are written on this card. So this part will be done separately. So this was part number 2. Then in the last part, you will have to plan something with your partner. So in this case, both of you will get some different options or schedule and also a task. And depending on what your schedule is or what options you have to plan something together. So let's see how this looks like. So here we are on Teil 3, and it is written, Ihr Freund Patrick hat Geburtstag. Your friend Patrick has a birthday. Sie möchten ein Geschenk für ihn kaufen. You both would like to buy a gift for him. Finden Sie einen Termin. Find a time in which both of you can go and buy a gift for him. And then you will get a schedule similar to the one that you see over here. So you see this is for Samstag 17. Mai, and here your schedule for the day is written. So for example, you have Frühstück by Mario from 11 till 12. Then you have to pick up your bicycle, Fahrrad abholen at 14 o'clock. And so on. So this shows what are your activities for the day. Similarly, your partner will also get a schedule which will be different from this one. So here is the schedule for your partner. So you see that he or she has Essen by Stefan between 12 and 1300 hours. At 1500 hours, they have Schwimmen and so on. So you will have to discuss with them and find a time slot which suits both of you. So you will say, for example, we can go and buy the gift at 11 o'clock, but then your partner takes a look at their schedule and sees that 11 o'clock they have a Friseur or Haarschneiden-Termin, so they have to go to the barber for hair cutting. And then they will say that this is not possible for me, and then they will give a suggestion, and you will see on your schedule if it is possible for you or not. And at the end, you will have to find a time slot which is suitable for both of you, and on this time you will agree that we will go and buy a gift. So sometimes you get a schedule, sometimes it is possible that you get something else. So depending on what the task is, you have to find a solution which suits both of you. And as mentioned, I will make a separate video on Sprechen where I will go into these parts in detail and also tell you what kind of sentences you can use and how you have to answer the different questions that will be asked. So this was part number 3 of the Sprechen section. And with this, we have covered all the different parts of the Goethe A2 exam. I hope that now you have a good understanding of what kind of questions will be asked, and I will also add the link to the Goethe website from where you can find these sample exams so that you can practice them yourself and take a look so that you get a better idea of what kind of questions are asked and how you can answer them. And I will be making videos in which I will be explaining these sections separately so that you can prepare for the exam and also get good marks. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions or feedback, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for your time, and we will see each other in the next video.